Alexander King stood on the balcony of his penthouse suite, gazing down at the bustling city below. From up here, everything seemed small: people, cars, even the problems of the world. The towering buildings and constant movement had once excited him. Now, they felt distant and unimportant. He sighed and ran a hand through his thick, dark hair. For years, he had built his empire, one luxurious hotel after another, each one grander than the last. To the outside world, he was a successful, powerful man with everything anyone could ever dream of: wealth, fame, and influence. But to Alexander, his life had become nothing more than an empty routine. Everyone around him cared more about his fortune than the man behind it. The constant flattery and sycophantic smiles wore him down. What was the point of it all? What was the use of money when it couldn't buy honesty, or friends who cared for him beyond his last name? As the night deepened, the idea that had been gnawing at him for months finally solidified. He needed a change, a break from this suffocating world of false friendships and shallow interactions. He needed to feel what it was like to be just a regular person again. The idea was crazy, but maybe that's why it excited him. He decided he would go undercover as a simple employee at one of his own hotels. No one would know who he was, and he could finally experience life from a new perspective. The next day, Alexander called his closest confidant, Robert. Robert had been with him since the beginning, his right-hand man and one of the few people Alex trusted completely. "You're doing what?" Robert's voice was full of disbelief as they sat in the dimly lit office of Alexander's penthouse. Alex chuckled. "You heard me right. I'm going undercover. I want to see what it's like to work at the hotel without everyone knowing who I am." Robert leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. "You know this is ridiculous, right? You're the CEO of King Hotels. What if someone recognizes you?" "That's the beauty of it," Alex replied, his blue eyes glinting with excitement. "I'll be working at the Oakwood branch. It's one of our newer hotels, and the staff doesn't know me by face. I'll change my look, go by a different name. No one will suspect a thing." "And what exactly do you hope to get out of this?" Alex shrugged. "I don't know. Something real. I'm tired of living in a bubble. I want to know what my employees go through, how they really feel about the company. And, maybe I'll find something more." Robert raised an eyebrow. "Something more?" Alex sighed. "I don't know. Maybe I'll understand myself better. Maybe I'll figure out what's been missing." Robert studied him for a long moment before nodding. "All right. If anyone can pull off something this crazy, it's you." A week later, Alexander King no longer existed, at least not in the Oakwood Hotel. He was now, Alex Knight, a bellboy in his early 30s, with short cropped hair and worn-out clothes that matched his new role. His usual designer suits were replaced with a simple uniform, and his face was scrubbed of its usual polish. The first few days were eye-opening. Alex had always prided himself on understanding the inner workings of his hotels, but he realized he'd known very little about the reality of the job. As a bellboy, he lugged heavy suitcases up and down the hotel's grand staircases, fetched drinks for demanding guests, and dealt with the occasional rude comment. His back ached, his feet hurt, but he felt alive in a way he hadn't in years. Then, one day, everything changed. It was a busy morning, and the hotel staff was buzzing with energy. Alex was at the front desk, helping to check in guests, when he first saw her. She was standing near the elevator, talking animatedly to another staff member. Her brown hair was tied back in a neat bun, and her eyes sparkled with determination. She was wearing the standard hotel manager uniform, but there was something about the way she carried herself, confident, yet approachable, that caught his attention. Her name was Lily Grant, the hotel's new event manager. She had been hired just a few weeks before Alex started, and though he had seen her in passing, this was the first time he really took notice of her. Later that afternoon, Alex found himself working alongside her, helping set up for a wedding that was taking place at the hotel. "Can you grab those flowers for me, Alex?" she asked, pointing to a large bouquet. He nodded, walking over to the arrangement and carefully picking it up. As he handed it to her, their hands brushed for a brief moment, and he felt a strange warmth spread through his chest. "Thanks," she said, smiling at him. "You're pretty good at this. Ever thought about moving up the ranks?" He chuckled. "I think I'll stick to being a bellboy for now." She laughed lightly and continued working, but Alex couldn't stop thinking about her. There was something about her that intrigued him. She was different from the women he usually met in his world, women who were more interested in his bank account than in him as a person. Lily was genuine, down to earth, and didn't seem to care about appearances. As the days passed, Alex found himself looking for reasons to spend time with her. He would offer to help her with her tasks, even though it wasn't part of his job. She seemed to enjoy his company, and they often found themselves laughing and joking together. But the more he got to know her, the more conflicted he felt. He was lying to her, pretending to be someone he wasn't. How could he ever tell her the truth? What would she think if she found out that the bellboy she was growing close to was actually a multi-millionaire? Days turned into weeks, and Alex's undercover life as a bellboy at the Oakwood Hotel became routine. However, unlike the dullness he had felt in his old life, this routine brought him an unexpected sense of fulfillment. He interacted with guests, shared laughter with the staff, and learned the hard work that went into keeping the hotel running smoothly. But the best part of his day was always the moments he spent with Lily. Every morning, she would rush into the lobby, balancing her tablet and a cup of coffee, always smiling despite the stress that came with her job. Her dedication to making every event at the hotel a success was admirable. Alex noticed the way her eyes lit up when she spoke about her ideas for weddings, conferences, and gala dinners. She wasn't just working for a paycheck, Lily loved what she did. One afternoon, after a particularly demanding event, they sat down in the staff lounge for a break. Lily took a sip of her coffee and leaned back in her chair, visibly exhausted but satisfied with how well the event had gone. "You make this look easy," Alex said, watching her with admiration. "I don't think I could ever manage all of that." Lily laughed, shaking her head. "Trust me, it's not easy. Some days, I'm ready to pull my hair out. But, I guess I thrive on the chaos. It keeps things interesting." Alex smiled. "You're good at what you do, Lily. Really good." There was a brief pause as she met his gaze. For a moment, the noise of the hotel seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of them in that small room. Alex's heart raced as he realized how close they were sitting, how easy it was to talk to her. She made him feel like he wasn't pretending, like he could be himself, even if she didn't know who that really was. But just as quickly, the moment passed. Lily stood up, breaking the spell. "Thanks, Alex," she said with a warm smile. "I should get back to work. Lots to do." As she walked away, Alex leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. He had never felt this way about anyone before. His relationships in the past had always been transactional, based on what people could get from him or his wealth. But with Lily, it was different. She didn't know about his fortune, and yet, she treated him with kindness and respect. She wasn't interested in his money, she was interested in him. That night, as he lay in his modest staff dorm, Alex couldn't shake the guilt that gnawed at him. The longer he stayed undercover, the more he feared the inevitable moment when Lily would find out the truth. He had built their entire relationship on a lie, and there was no way to avoid the fallout when she discovered who he really was. But despite the guilt, he couldn't bring himself to tell her the truth, not yet. As time went on, their connection grew deeper. They started spending more time together outside of work, grabbing lunch at a nearby cafe or taking walks through the park after a long day at the hotel. Their conversations ranged from lighthearted jokes to deep discussions about life, dreams, and fears. One evening, they were sitting on a park bench, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink. Lily glanced at Alex, her expression thoughtful. "You know," she said softly, "I've always wondered what it would be like to live in a world of luxury. To not have to worry about money or rent or bills. But then again, I think I'd miss the struggle. It's what makes life interesting, don't you think?" Alex felt a pang of guilt at her words. She had no idea how close to the truth she was. He could have easily offered her everything she dreamed of, financial security, a life free of worries, but he knew that wasn't what she wanted. Lily was fiercely independent, proud of the life she had built for herself despite the challenges. "Yeah," Alex said quietly, "I think you're right. Sometimes the struggle is what makes us appreciate the good things." Lily smiled at him, her eyes shining in the fading light. "You're different, Alex. Most people I meet are so focused on climbing the corporate ladder or chasing money. But you seem content with where you are. It's refreshing." Alex swallowed hard, his throat tight. If only she knew the truth. He wasn't content at all, he was hiding from the life he had built. He was pretending to be someone he wasn't, and the weight of that deception grew heavier with every passing day. But despite his internal conflict, Alex couldn't deny the happiness he felt in her presence. She brought out a side of him he hadn't seen in years, a side that wasn't defined by wealth or power, but by simple human connection. The revelation. The hotel was buzzing with excitement as the annual Oakwood Gala approached. It was the biggest event of the year, drawing in high-profile guests from all over the city. Alex knew that he couldn't avoid attending as himself, Alexander King. His name was on the invitations, and his presence was expected. For weeks, he had been dreading this moment. The staff would see him, and so would Lily. How could he explain his sudden transformation from bellboy to billionaire? There was no way to prevent the inevitable fallout, but he knew he couldn't keep hiding forever. The night of the gala arrived, and the hotel was transformed into a glittering wonderland of lights, flowers, and music. Guests in elegant gowns and tailored suits mingled in the ballroom, sipping champagne and exchanging pleasantries. Alex, dressed in a tailored tuxedo, stood on the balcony overlooking the event, feeling like an outsider in his own world. He scanned the room, his eyes landing on Lily, who was helping coordinate the evening's schedule. She looked stunning in a simple, elegant black dress, her hair cascading down her shoulders. For a moment, he wished he could stay in this moment forever, just the two of them, without the complications of his hidden identity. But that wasn't possible. As the night wore on, Alex knew the time had come. He couldn't keep lying to her. He had to tell her the truth, no matter how much it hurt. He found her in the hallway, taking a moment to catch her breath from the whirlwind of the event. Her face lit up when she saw him, but the look on his face must have given away his distress. "Alex, what's wrong?" she asked, stepping closer. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. This was it. There was no turning back now. "Lily," he began, his voice low and filled with regret, "there's something I need to tell you. I haven't been completely honest with you." She frowned, confusion flickering in her eyes. "What do you mean?" "I'm not who you think I am," Alex said, his voice trembling slightly. "I'm not just a bellboy. I'm Alexander King, the owner of this hotel." For a moment, there was silence. Lily stared at him, her expression frozen in shock. It was as if the world had stopped spinning, and all the noise of the gala had faded into the background. "What?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I've been lying to you this whole time," Alex confessed, his eyes filled with remorse. "I came here undercover to see what it was like to work in my own hotel, to understand the people who work for me. But I never meant to deceive you. I wanted to be someone else for a while. Someone who could have a real connection with you." Lily took a step back, her eyes wide with disbelief. "You lied to me. This whole time. You pretended to be someone else, and you let me believe it." Alex reached out to her, desperation in his voice. "Lily, please. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I care about you, more than I've cared about anyone in a long time. I didn't want to lose you." She shook her head, her eyes filling with tears. "How can I trust you after this? How can I believe anything you've said?" Alex's heart shattered at the pain in her voice. He had known this moment would come, but it didn't make it any easier. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you." Lily stared at him for a long moment, her face a mixture of hurt and betrayal. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away, leaving Alex standing alone in the hallway, his heart heavy with regret. The fallout. Alex stood frozen in the hallway, watching Lily walk away. He wanted to call after her, to explain himself better, but the words wouldn't come. The truth had come out, and now he had to live with the consequences. For days after the gala, Lily avoided him. She wouldn't answer his calls, and at work, she made sure to stay busy, always finding a reason to be somewhere else. Alex felt lost. The vibrant energy she used to bring into his life was gone, replaced with an emptiness he couldn't shake. Every time he passed by her, the look in her eyes, a mixture of hurt and betrayal, cut him deeper than he expected. In his private office at the hotel, Alex tried to focus on his work, but his mind kept drifting back to Lily. He had never felt this way about anyone before, and the thought of losing her because of his deception weighed on him heavily. He had thought his plan to live as a regular person would help him understand life better, but now all it had done was push away the one person he had grown to care about more than anything. One evening, Robert stopped by his office, leaning against the doorframe. "You look terrible," he said, not unkindly. "What's going on?" Alex rubbed his temples, letting out a sigh. "Lily found out who I really am. She hates me now." Robert walked in and sat across from Alex. "You knew this was a risk from the beginning, right? Living a double life never ends well." "I know," Alex muttered. "I just didn't think I'd care this much about her." Robert raised an eyebrow. "Well, do you love her?" The question hit Alex hard. He hadn't let himself think about it like that, but the answer was obvious. "Yeah," he admitted softly. "I think I do." "Then you need to tell her that," Robert said simply. "Before it's too late." The apology. A week later, Alex decided he couldn't stand it anymore. He needed to talk to Lily, face to face. She deserved to hear his side, not through phone calls or messages, but in person. He had messed up, and he owed her an apology. He waited until her shift was over and saw her leaving through the back entrance of the hotel, her bag slung over her shoulder. Heart pounding, Alex hurried after her. "Lily, wait," he called. She stopped but didn't turn around immediately. After a few seconds, she sighed and turned to face him. Her eyes were cold, her usual warmth gone. "What do you want, Alex?" His heart sank at the sound of her voice. She had never spoken to him like that before. "I need to talk to you." "Please," he said quietly. "I know I've hurt you, and I know I messed up, but I need you to hear me out." Lily crossed her arms, her expression guarded. "What more is there to say? You lied to me, Alex. You made me believe you were someone else." "I know," he said, his voice filled with regret. "I didn't mean to hurt you. At first, this whole thing, it was just about me wanting to escape my life. I felt trapped by all the expectations and the people around me. I wanted to experience something real for once. And then I met you." Lily's eyes softened just a little, but her guard remained up. "And you didn't think it would matter that you were lying to me the whole time?" Alex shook his head. "I didn't plan for it to go this far. I didn't expect to fall for you, Lily. But I did. I know I've broken your trust, and I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I want you to know that everything else between us was real. How I feel about you, that's real." Lily stood there in silence for a moment, processing his words. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the pain in his voice, and part of her wanted to believe him. But the wound was still fresh, and the betrayal still stung. "I don't know if I can trust you again, Alex," she finally said, her voice trembling slightly. "You kept this huge part of your life from me. How do I know you won't hide other things?" "I won't," Alex said, stepping closer, his voice pleading. "I swear, I won't. I don't want to lose you, Lily. I'll do whatever it takes to earn back your trust. Just give me a chance to prove it." Lily looked at him, her heart torn. She had never imagined that the man she was falling for would turn out to be someone so different from what she thought. But she also couldn't deny the connection they had shared, the laughter, the late-night talks, the way he made her feel like she was the only person in the world. "I need time," she finally said, her voice quiet. "I can't just forget what happened overnight." Alex nodded, relief washing over him. "Take all the time you need. I'll wait, as long as it takes." The struggle for trust. Over the next few weeks, things between Alex and Lily remained strained but not completely broken. She still kept her distance, but they had begun to talk again, brief, cautious conversations that showed the smallest glimmer of hope. Alex respected her space, knowing he couldn't rush her into forgiving him. Instead, he focused on being as open and honest with her as possible. He didn't hide behind his wealth anymore. He wasn't Alex the bellboy, or Alexander King, the hotel tycoon. He was just Alex, a man trying to make amends. One day, as they worked side by side setting up for another hotel event, Lily finally spoke the words Alex had been waiting to hear. "I've been thinking a lot," she said, not looking at him directly. "About everything. About us." Alex glanced at her, his heart pounding in his chest. "And," Lily let out a long breath, "I can't say that I've completely forgiven you. But I've realized that you didn't lie to hurt me. I think you were just lost." He nodded, grateful she understood. "I was. I didn't know how to be myself anymore." Lily turned to face him, her eyes filled with a mix of emotions. "I've missed you. But I'm still scared, Alex. Trust is hard to rebuild." "I know," he said softly. "But I'll work every day to earn it back. I promise." There was a pause as she studied him, as if trying to decide whether to believe in him again. Then, slowly, she reached out and took his hand. The simple gesture sent a wave of warmth through Alex's chest. He didn't deserve her forgiveness yet, but the fact that she was willing to try meant more than he could ever express. "We'll take it slow," she said. "But maybe, just maybe, we can start over." Alex smiled, his heart finally feeling lighter. "I'd like that. More than anything. The new beginning." Over the following months, Alex and Lily began to rebuild their relationship, step by step. It wasn't easy, trust takes time to heal, but they were both committed to making it work. Alex no longer hid behind his wealth or status. He showed her the real him, flaws and all. Lily, too, opened up more, sharing pieces of her own life that she had kept hidden. They learned to lean on each other, not just as colleagues or friends, but as partners navigating the complexities of love and life. The hotel continued to thrive, and Alex, having experienced the reality of working at the ground level, made changes to improve the working conditions for his employees. He was no longer the distant CEO, but a leader who understood what it meant to be part of the team. As for Alex and Lily, their relationship blossomed into something deeper than either of them had expected. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And that was all they needed. One evening, months after their rocky start, they stood on the same balcony where they had first watched the sunset together. The sky was painted with colors, and this time, Lily leaned her head on Alex's shoulder, content in the silence between them. "I never thought I'd fall for a bellboy," Lily joked softly, her voice teasing but filled with affection. Alex laughed, wrapping his arm around her. "Well, technically, I'm still pretty good at carrying bags." Lily smiled, looking up at him. "Good thing I fell for the man behind the job." As they stood there together, watching the world continue to spin below them, Alex realized that for the first time in a long time, he felt truly happy. He had found what he was looking for, not in his wealth, but in love. Real love. And for Alex and Lily, that was all that mattered.